And this is a Vice Optimisation chat with Benny Wallington of 101 Tokens. That's me, talking about myself in the third person like a bit of a douchebag. And I am with Jacqueline Marks, who is my partner in crime and in life. We haven't committed any crimes yet, have we? No? We're sitting at Byron Bay Back Beach, Arakwal or something I think it's called. And we're going to be doing these conversations. It might be with Jackie, it might be with someone else to do with Vice Optimisation on a weekly basis, sharing it with you guys based on what we're talking about. And for this week I want to touch on alcohol straight away because it's the new year, it's the first week of the new year. A little bit of a reflection on some of the conversations I've been having both with Jackie and other people in the 101 Tokens crew. And then we can talk about something which has been a hot topic of ours over the past week, which is how much we are addicted to our digital, so to our phones, and how you can really put someone off by not paying attention to them in the right place. So we've created a few new ways to do this so we are fully present when we're with each other over dinner. But we'll talk about that in a sec. First up, let's talk about 101 Tokens alcohol. So I just finished on 101 Tokens for the second time, which was great. I had 92% yays. It was a pretty insightful year. I think I got a lot better at the thing I improved the most on was identifying which types of alcohol work best for me, which was really cool. And I've started to really, try and contact the companies and brands and stuff who are making that alcohol because I'd like to support them as much as I can, and more information coming on that. But Jackie, you use the 101 Tokens app. You don't really drink much, so we had a few thoughts around that. Tell me a little bit about how your 101 Tokens year went.
Good. I think I used 20 tokens.
20 tokens, yep.
You debate that because you're not sure.
I'm not sure you used 20. I think you might have skipped a few because I know you had a couple of those pina colada nights.
I was in South America, so I maybe racked up a few in Cuba, but my main reason for using it, I guess I never set out to use 101 tokens. My main reason is just I like to be able to track things because that helps me look back because I just seem to be really forgetful. Mm-hmm. So I think my biggest reason was being able to, I think I only had one nay for the year. So
which is good, yeah.
If I did have 20, it was 19 yays and one nay. Which was, I think, just really helpful because it just allows me to have that platform to realize, that's what wasn't working for me, and then how can I work upon that. So I think current stage I'm at is I'm fairly mindful of my drinking and my habits, but I love to optimize that and just be better in all elements of my life. So when I do drink, I think just being able to have a way to say, yeah, that didn't work for me, what can I do better next time, works really well. So that's probably the reason why I'll just always use it, because it's just that quick way for me to go back, see what wasn't working for me, what can I work on, because I just feel like when I use it like paper or I journal things, you just lose it really easily. So when 2019 ticked over, it was great to go into the app and just have or 2018 before 2019, just reflect and be like, yep, this is what I want to do more of.
Yeah. And what was your nay?
My nay was to do with I was drinking as a crutch.
Yep.
So I just didn't feel that comfortable in a scenario I was in, and I just thought maybe if I drink more, then I'll just, I don't know,
feel better and more like in sync with everyone else at the place.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, that's the thing. Like I didn't really feel a sense of belonging. So instead of, the reason it was a nay was because I knew I actually had other strategies I could use to feel a sense of belonging or just to take myself out of that scenario, but I didn't do it at the time. Mm-hmm. And usually my yays are because I felt good during the time, but whenever I don't feel great when I'm drinking alcohol and I know I'm consuming, it's not like I wasn't like super drunk that night, it was just I knew I consumed more than I needed to, and it was more the emotion attached to it. I knew I wasn't, there's like a whole saying of drink to feel good, not when you're feeling bad.
Yep.
So I try and use other strategies than drinking when I'm feeling bad, because I know it's a depressant and it's not good for my mental health.
Yep.
So that was a nay because I knew I could have handled that that time better.
Yep. And what was the situation? Like, was it a party or something?
Yeah, it was a party. Yeah,
Party.
there's a lot of people I didn't know.
Okay, yeah. I know that's a big one. People will drink, especially when they're in situations where they don't know people, because it just makes it a lot easier. And then sometimes you can just totally fly off the handle there, especially if, you know, I remember a time which was really funny actually, I was out in Broome, because I used to work in the mines, and I was out in Broome, this is before 101 Tokens days, and I was staying with a friend who was a pilot, and he couldn't drink because he was flying the next day. And I was like, because I'd already travelled the world for a bit and stayed in hostels, and I always found hostels were a great place to meet people if you were on your own, because I travelled on my own a fair bit. Anyway, I went into this hostel in Broome, this hostel bar, and I was like, oh, this will be fine. I'll just walk up to people and start a conversation like I do when I travel around the world. And I went in, and I was like just that awkward nerd, weird dude. Like I'd like try and go into a conversation, and I tried to like spark stuff up, and like you see people like like this, and then everyone goes, oh yeah, this guy's cool, and then turns away and doesn't. That was me. I was like the weird nerd. I was like, what do you mean? I'm the cool dude. Anyway, so I had like I was standing there, and I used to have an alter ego named Willington, and I literally used to say like, I'm calling him, like tonight's fucking shit, I'm calling him and it'll get better, which means that I would get super drunk and then, you know, end up in all sorts of mischief, which at the time was what I, was what I was leaning on.
Coping mechanism.
Yeah, and I got 2 pints of beer and a couple of shots of tequila and smashed them both. And then next minute, I'm out the front, and I borrowed this girl's bike for some reason, and I was like, can I have a ride? And then I flew like up the street as quick as I could, and she thought I'd stolen it, and she was like, come back. And anyway, I came back, and I came flying back. I was like, I'm going to impress all these people out the front of the bar, and I tried to do a skid, and I did a skid, and I came off and like took all the bark off my knee and my hands and stuff, and I was like bleeding, and I like damaged this girl's bike. I was like, you dickhead. And it was all because I just wanted to fit in. I just wanted to like take away that awkwardness, and yeah, I think so now it's important to recognize that and go like, well, maybe the crowd wasn't the right crowd for me in the first place, and maybe I shouldn't. Everyone else was so drunk that I was like the odd one out.
Yeah.
And that's something I recognize now, that maybe you just take yourself out of that crowd. And yeah, I just thought that was just a funny anecdote that came up because of that awkward feeling that's happened to me many times actually, especially at uni, I think.
It can be a tough one, but I think that's why it's really important if you can actually identify the root cause. Like if you're feeling like you don't really belong, then you can start to actually ask those deep questions of, do I want to belong? Do I need to really drunk to belong? Because if you need to be really drunk to belong, then you're not actually belonging at all.
Yeah.
And then if it was just something you're using as a crutch because you just felt a bit uncomfortable at that time, like what else can you do, as well as like just have a few drinks to enjoy yourself? What else can you do? Like that's why I think I've learned more about just breathing or being able to calm myself down, tracking certain things that make me overwhelmed, and just trying to lessen those situations. Because for me, mine actually, I don't actually really enjoy being around big crowds. Like I've sort of identified I'm a bit more of an introvert. So if I have a drink, I like to just have just be with one person or just a small group. Because I've identified when I'm at festivals or in big crowds, and that overwhelms me, and I used to get a lot of anxiety and anxiety attacks because I was just pushing my boundaries and I wasn't listening to what is it that I need and what's actually a fun scenario for me. I just used to be like, well, I'm 21, I should be doing this, I should be doing that. And even through my mid-20s, there's kind of that culture of if you're at uni or certain parties, and you should be doing that because that's what everyone else is doing. And for me to have friends to fit in, then maybe I need to do that. But really, I have great friendships now because I've been able to identify this is what works for me, and just be authentic about it. And people like respect that about you. And if someone doesn't respect what it is that you need to have a good time, then they're not actually a healthy friend for you.
Could be a bit of a toxic friend.
Yeah, but then you could be an extrovert and have as well, like you're very extroverted and you
at times.
at times, But you
I'm
really
an ambivert.
enjoy crowds.
Yeah.
And you have
Especially if there's a good froth and vibe in the crowd.
But you also have been able to identify, well, what are your elements for having a good time, and then what are your triggers for going overboard. So I think it's just an important step, being able to sort of tap in and be like, what is good time for me, and what do I need for that, which is part of 101 tokens.
Yeah, for sure. And what is that app that you use to measure your? It's got all the smiley faces and the sad faces on it. Your feelings. Is this the right app?
Yeah. Well, I use 101 tokens to help me track.
Yeah, I know that's for booze, but you know.
If I'm trying to track, like if I'm just when I was getting a lot of anxiety, I would try and track why, and then when I was feeling good, what was it about me feeling good? Because there was a time when my mental health, I was at a really low stage. So I was using Dalio.
Dalio,
yeah. Which is when you go into the app store, it's just like a purple smiley face.
Yeah, it actually looks like a grape.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, so if anyone watches South Park, which Jackie doesn't like, he looks like the member grapes. So for any of you guys who watch South Park and have seen the episodes with my member grapes, that's what that looks like.
Sidetrack there.
Yeah, but it's important. It's one of the best, funniest things of the last few seasons.
No, it is a really good app actually, because it helps you. It's really simple. You just click on what emotion you're feeling. You can actually edit the emotions. So if you feel anger, I don't usually feel anger. It's more overwhelmed for me.
Yep.
Or I feel on the other end of the scale, it might be depression, or for someone else it might be a different emotion. So you can edit your top 5 emotions. Click on the emotion you're feeling when you're entering that data, or if you're reflecting upon a certain event. Click on the emotion and then click on what's linked to it. So for me, it might be if I wasn't taking breaks and like eating well throughout the day, then I would feel really stressed because my blood sugar levels were low. Or if I was drinking alcohol and then something like big crowds, then I would link, oh, that's making me anxious. So then I could go back and just reflect on that data, how to make some little adjustments and just start to feel better.
Cool. Have you created a bespoke one for frothing?
What?
For frothing? Like an emotion?
Oh, an emotion for frothing?
Yeah.
No, I haven't, but maybe I will now. I didn't know what frothing was until I made it.
Yeah, well, so make sure that's in there.
It's a new concept.
Yeah, so I'm really interested in that because I think like the amount of emotions that we go through every day is fucking ridiculous. And I mean, like specifically as a male, having to show up with the bravado and the everything's all good. I think a lot of females feel that as well. I think it is important to be aware, and I think that's what the power of meditation is, and reflecting and journaling and things like that, because you can say that you are transitioning into different states and different feelings. And I know, having been dating you for a little while now, you're very good at articulating when you feel a certain emotion, and sometimes, and as a male reacting to that, or as a partner reacting to that, it's sometimes like, oh, I've got to help, I've got to like help you straight away, I've got to give you a hug and whatever, and oh, what's wrong, how do I fix it? But what I've learned is it's really good to just hold the space, and sometimes I don't need to fix it, I just need to hang out or piss off. So I think that's a really important thing about when we're talking about our vices, and when we do indulge in alcohol, or when we do indulge in food, or we're addicted to our digital technology or something, have a little pause and a think about like, why am I reacting in this way? And specifically, it's easy because I've been thinking about this a lot with alcohol, but that's that intention setting, which is so important for any activity, and specifically if you're trying to change a habit. So what is the use for this? Is it something that is going to just give me a quick fix and then actually be detrimental in the long run? Yeah, more consequence. And what other options or tools or people can I contact to have like a bit of a discussion around, my other options? And that's why I'd actually love working and chatting with you, but then working with also the other guys like Robbo and and Sarah, because they've got a lot of different techniques, and we just mentioned breathing for these things. So you can alleviate some of these negative habits in your life just through reaching out or just taking time to have a pause, and it sounds like you do that with this app. So I definitely recommend people giving it a go. I might give it a go. I can't recommend it without giving it a go, so sure. Maybe I will as well. But I'll have frothing in there.
Okay.
Yeah. So one of the other topics that came up with, because I've had a few fucking awesome chats this week with people who I've one-on-one coached, who I've through 101 tokens and their drinking habits, and who I'm continuing to. I've had some chats with people who've done the online course as well. Some people who started the online course and didn't do any of it. Some people who've downloaded the app and didn't put one token in. It's been fascinating. One thing that comes up quite a lot is I wanted to stick to 101 tokens. So I was only drinking twice a week, but when I went out, I was absolutely giving it what for. I was flogging myself. I was drinking. Yeah. And so like the fundamental problem with that straight up is that you're not doing 101 tokens properly, because you mustn't be reflecting on that and realizing where you're going wrong, because that's the whole point.
That's not mindful drinking.
That's not mindful drinking, exactly. So what I said to one of the guys this week was, don't worry about 101.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that important. 101 was a cool gimmick. It was my goal. And this is a journey for everyone. It's not, it's different. You said you only use 22. I know some people go, I only want to drink 24 times this year. I know some people are like, I'm only going to do this challenge for 3 months. I only want to drink 20 times in this 3 months, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter. What you've got to get to a point of is, what are you proud of? What will you be proud of?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not going to be proud of it, if it's too easy, or if it's too hard, don't bullshit yourself. You can always do a smaller challenge and then readjust. You don't have to go, I missed the 1st of January, and give yourself a cop out that you don't, I'll do it next year kind of bullshit. It's literally about, so for him, for example, instead of drinking twice a week, if he's drinking every day before that, try and cut back to like 4 or 5 nights a week, or just do every day, but just notice, just be aware. Use the app and then identify. So I don't know, like from your perspective, what would be like, we're doing 101 tokens again this year. What's a good challenge for you? Have you thought about that in that way?
To be honest, like with the app, I was actually also thinking about using it for not just like alcohol, but other things and habits that I want to just be a bit more aware of and cut down on.
Yeah. So
with my alcohol, I'm probably not going to set myself a goal of how much I want to drink this year, because I'm just going to know when it's a reflective tool for me. So if I use it 3 times a year, or if I've used it 15 times, it's just because those were times where I'm like, I'd like to have a drink, and then it was a way for me to track that. But I don't feel, for me, that I need to set myself a goal of I can only have 50 drinks.
Yep.
Or use 50 tokens, or 100 tokens, whatever it is. My goal is to get as many yays as I can, which I feel like that's pretty much why the 101 tokens exist, to help people get more yays. So that's probably, my goal is to get 100% yays, or like get towards that. But I think, like you spoke about, just being able to set something that's realistic for you, because you already know what your 2018 was like, and then what you want your 2019 to be. I think you need to set authentic goals for yourself. But there's a big thing about like shame and guilt. And so when you set a goal and then you don't reach it, like same thing with diets, a lot of time most diets don't work because someone sets a goal that's maybe not realistic for them. They don't have the support to follow through on it. And then they feel so much guilt and shame when they don't complete the goal that it's even like they actually go worse than what they originally were. So I just think it's really important to be aware of the emotions that attach to things, and I think instead of like, say if you have a big night out, you reflect upon it and you're like, nay, like it wasn't good for me, instead of having that shame hangover all day of like, I'm a shit person, like I'm really bad at this, my drinking habits are never going to change. Be like, all right, messed up. This is my nay, this is why, and this is how I'm going to move forward from that.
Mhm.
So, yeah, my goal personally is to get more yays, or get most yays, and just be proactive in my drinking. So, this is my yay, this is why, and keep it going.
It's interesting you talk about shame and guilt. A really good way to frame it, and I've heard a couple of people that I listen to as mentors mention this, and guilt is one of the most selfish emotions that we can possibly have. Because guilt and shame probably about the same.
No, so shame is when you think there's something wrong with you. Guilt is when you're like, I did a bad thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So guilt isn't guilt is healthy. Shame is the selfish one, because
ooh, this is juicy. Go on.
I'm picking you up on this one.
Yeah.
Brene Brown would not be happy with you.
Yeah, I'll take her on too. Bring it. Let's go.
So shame is the selfish one, because you're only thinking about yourself in this scenario. You're thinking there's something wrong with me. So if you go out and you have a big night drinking,
yep.
The next day you're meant to like show up for work, you really hungover and you miss a meeting. Shame is if you think, oh my gosh, I'm such a tool. I do this all the time, done it again. You're just thinking about yourself. Guilt is when you're like, I made some really crappy decisions because I missed that meeting. I've impacted that person. I've messed up with my mistakes.
Yep.
And this is how I want to be better. Because when you're in guilt, you're tying that to the event and what's happened and your actions, and then how you can be better from it.
Mm-hmm.
Shame is when you think there's something wrong with you and you just don't think that, because if there's something wrong with you, you can't be fixed.
Yeah, but I think like with guilt, you can sit there and feel guilty about something, and then not actually. So say I've gone out and I've told my mate to fuck off.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be guilty. I feel guilt that I did that.
Yeah.
And then I just sit there stewing in my guilt. Is that what you're saying? Is then shame? Because if I don't then apologize to said friend, telling him to fuck off, that is why it's that is why guilt is selfish, because you're just sitting there stewing in it. You're not actually going to attempt to rectify
why
it.
aren't you saying sorry?
No, I'm just saying, this is hypothetical.
Yeah, but my point is, why aren't you saying sorry in that situation?
Because you haven't got the balls to do it, to own up to your actions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to unpack it. So I think, the way I've heard it explained is then you're just like sitting there within your own self. It's all about me. Oh, me. Mm-hmm. And that's why guilt can be selfish. Yeah. But I get what you mean. That's similar to shame.
Both of them can be selfish.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there is a distinct difference between them.
Yeah.
Because guilt, thinking I did some crap actions, but I'm not willing to own up to my actions.
Yeah.
That's guilt, because you're saying it's my actions, it's not me. But if you're in shame and you're like, I do this all the time, it's my fault, I'm a bad person, you're in shame and you're also not owning your shame. But if you're feeling guilt, but if you're not willing to own up to your actions, then that's something you need to identify and work on.
Yeah. And that's what I always say to people. It's like, if you get a nay and you know what you did, then just because you're going to sit there and stew, apologize to the person you need to apologize to. Chances are you didn't fuck up as bad as you think you did, because there's holes in your memory anyway. Yeah. And once you've done that, then you can say, well, you do identify where you fucked it, and then you can move on from there. I think there's one instance that used to pop up a lot for me, and we were talking about that the other day, which is werewolfing. Are you familiar with the concept of werewolfing?
Yes.
Are you? Do you want to explain werewolfing?
When you change with the moon?
No. Yes, I think that's the technical term for all the Twilight fans. I don't even know if that's how it works in Twilight, but werewolfing is something that I've talked about in the past, and I'm sure people have. Maybe I've just stolen it from somewhere. It's when you wake up with like either physical or mental scars from what you've done the night before, but you can't remember. So like the typical werewolves, like the moon comes up and you like turn into this fucking absolute weapon of a human, and you go out on the tear, and then like you've done all these things, you've offended a bunch of people, but then you wake up in the morning and there's a chance that you did all that stuff, but I reckon like people 99% of the time, or maybe 95, depending on who you are, did nothing. They just got drunk and someone put them in a cab and sent them home. But because they've done it one time, they immediately jumped to the most horrific thing they possibly could have done.
Because they can't actually remember what happened.
Exactly. And that's why, like, there's this funny thing, and I notice it living in Bondi a fair bit. When I go to a cafe in the morning, you'll get like this real hungover person, and that used to be me. And they'll get a phone call from their friends, and they'll be like, this awkward laugh of everyone, and everyone's on the different lines, and I'm just picturing everyone sort of like, oh man, you know what happened last night, or you know, do you remember what happened? And it's kind of like this ring-a-ring-a-rosy of like, oh, I've got fuck all idea what happened, and someone starts piecing it together. But yeah, there's that concept, and I think a lot of people will just sit there in that guilt, shame bucket of death, which then emanates into their week.
Do you have advice then? Because like one thing I call back is like your bounce back strategies. So if you're in guilt and you can't remember something, or if you do remember something and you're in guilt and you're like, wow, I messed up, do you have like advice on like how to bounce back from that, like how to apologize, or ways that you've gone from wasting time? Because like you said, it is kind of selfish and it's a waste of your time because you're in control of actually how you feel. And so if you let yourself stay in guilt, instead of bouncing back and using strategies to help you get past that and apologize, or if there's maybe other ways to get past that, do you have, because you've messed up plenty of times.
Yeah. Oh, fucking I have.
How do you get out of that guilt shame spiral then?
So first and foremost is the apology and owning up to what you've done, which can be hard sometimes, especially if you've like, I don't know, accidentally peed on someone's couch. I don't know who's done that before.
It's disgusting.
It is disgusting, but...
If you pee on my couch.
Lucky I don't do that anymore.
But
anyway,
so
it's important to like offer to clean it, and so what I guess that's a good metaphor. It's important to see what you can do within your power to rectify the situation as quickly as possible, whether that's getting the metaphorical cleaner in, and yeah, doing that. So that's like the first and foremost thing to do, because otherwise it just gets worse and worse all day. Bounce back strategies follow the course of what 101 Tokens talks about, which is the reflection. Because once you've reflected and you've looked into the 4 pillars, which is food, drinks, location, and people, you can identify where it all went wrong. And then basically what you're doing is you're committing to yourself to say, okay, going out to that location, for example, let's say a Bondi hotel, just using my own examples and one of my big nays this year, I knew that going into that location is typically where I will get fucked up. And as much as I like know that I have willpower, for example, this is what happened. So I'll take you through it. I was drinking at Ravisi's in Bondi, which is just it's a nice bar, with my friend Joss. And we met these dudes from the country who were there for a business conference, and they were real nice. And we got actually talking on to potentially running some 101 Token stuff with their company out in Singleton, I think it was. And I was going to go home. I'd planned on going home. I'd had probably 6 or 7, maybe 8 beers. And then we were like, well, everything's shutting. Let's go to Bondi Hotel. And I know, don't go to Bondi Hotel. Don't go to Bondi. I was like, well, these dudes are pretty chill. It's going to be fucking sweet, whatever. So anyway, we go to Bondi Hotel. I order a beer with Joss. And I'm chatting to the dudes. And I look over and there's the 2 blokes from Koala Mattresses. Pretty funny dudes. They're legends. They live in Bondi. I'd seen one of them speak at a conference. If you don't know who Koala is, they're a pretty disruptive brand of mattresses. They're fucking awesome, basically. They're just real larrikin style brand. The dudes are probably my age or a bit younger, and they give shit to IKEA. They got these big billboards that says like no fucking idea written in like Swedish hieroglyphics. Apologies to any Swedes out there.
You should become a promo guy for them.
Yeah, oh totally. I fucking love them. Anyway, so like I went over and I was like, oh hey dude, what's cracking? And then they were on the tear. I don't know what they were on the tear for. And then next minute there's vodkas, and I know don't drink vodka. And next minute I'm drinking vodkas. Trigger. Yeah. So there was 2, and in my head I was like, have a few drinks with these guys because 1, I want to get to know them better. I'm all about networking. And 2, I think like I want to work with killer Australian brands on, you know, on making Australia fucking better,
Yeah.
not great again. I almost did a Donald Trump dickhead quote. And so yeah, I ended up absolutely. Then we had like 3 or 4, and the stupidity of it was the fact that like I went over there so I could contact them and then try and set up a coffee the next week.
So you want to connect with them.
Exactly. But what happened was we got fuck-eyed. I don't remember what happened. I stumbled home at whatever hour. Lost contact with the dudes from Singleton as well, which is pretty rude, and then sent one of them a text during the week saying, "Oh, hey man, cool to meet you on Saturday night." Like, I don't know what ended up happening that night, I could have been rude. I'm pretty sure I wasn't, but they didn't write back. And probably because one of two things. I've done something wrong there. The second thing, they were panelled as well. So they don't remember. And it's like, who's this weird dude texting me? Like, oh shit, they might have the shame then and go, oh, did I pick up a dude on... Nothing wrong with picking up dudes, but what I'm saying is like...
That's not the way you swing.
Yeah, that's not the way he maybe he does, I'm not sure. Sorry, koala dudes. Anyway, a bit off tangent there, but that was so I woke up that next morning and I went, again, even though I already knew don't go to Bondi Hotel, again, make my intentions, like, that's like micro intentions, I guess, was my learning there. So when I went to go over there and speak to them, I don't have to have a vodka with them to fit in. Like, I could have just politely declined and then had a beer and continued having my beer. But I got swept up in the moment, and they do the wine thing on their ad with the balancing the wine on the mattress. So I thought, get in there. But yeah, I guess so. That's like my learning there was micro intentions for next time, and it's a little bit away from how I bounce back. But in that instance, my bounce back was to use the 101 tokens process. The location was wrong. The drinks were wrong. Everything else was good. Maybe the people were wrong. Maybe I shouldn't drink with those dudes. But at least next time I know that if I get in that situation, like, what if I'm at a conference this year and I was going to say Russell Brand. Yeah, maybe Russell Brand. He doesn't drink or do drugs or anything like that anymore. But maybe if Richard Branson's there and he's shouting shots, and I just think, oh, just go do it because it'll get you in. I can be like, no, I can go over there and, show respect to him. And without getting stupid, because it's just going to ruin the opportunity.
Well, I guess it comes down to values and intentions, because if your values are like, this is who I want to be like seen as or known as, you've got to sort of be clear on that, because if you don't want to be a certain version of yourself, but you know that with these A-B triggers, then you become that version that you're not proud of, then be intentional about reducing those triggers and having the things in place so you can have a good time and live a life where you're the person that you want to be. I think 99% of the time when you're not living a life like that you sort of want, or you're not being the person that you want to be, it's because you're not going through a reflection process and you're not learning from your mistakes. Because anyone in business or anyone who is like really living a pretty rad life would tell you that they go through a reflection process regularly, so they can reflect on, okay, I screwed up here. If they're feeling guilty about something, this is how I bounce back from that. This is how I go through an actual genuine apology. I think that learning how to do an apology really should be taught. Maybe it's something you could do sometime.
Yeah, that's why we have these conversations.
Because that's something I think people don't like. If you don't know how to do something, you can't be expected to do something. If you don't actually know how to, like, sometimes saying sorry is just like, it's not enough. So people need to know how to actually give a genuine apology, and how to take steps when they are feeling in guilt. So maybe steps to get out of guilt. Maybe steps to give an apology, and then have you done that already on your thing about what are your values, like what matters to you, who do you want to be? So that's probably another way of... Well,
I think when we go through the why, it's like we go through the why and we go, why do you want to change your habits? But then we also go through the visualization period, which is like, what am I at the moment? What is my drinking habits? And then let's visualize, like an Olympic sprinter does, how do I want to get from the start line to the finish line? What's that going to look like at the end?
Cool.
So yeah, it's super important. What are some bounce back strategies that you would recommend?
If I'm feeling what?
If you're feeling shame or guilt.
If I was feeling shame, I usually, it's called like like a shitty first draft.
Yep.
It's your shame. So you just write, like, just get a scrap piece of paper and write down everything that's in your head. Because for you to be able to identify, like, shame, you need to be able to, sometimes you can't say it out loud. It's hard for you to say the words. Like, I know when I'm in shame, I'm just like, don't talk to me because there's something wrong. I shut down. So get a piece of paper and just write down all the self-talk in your head. And it could be, I'm a crap person, I'm a crap mum, I'm a crap sister, I'm a crap husband, I'm a crap human, I shouldn't exist. Like, you can literally write down, like, the darkest thoughts that are going through your head. And then you can take a few moments to just sort of breathe. I feel like it's a pretty big topic, so maybe it's good to actually do a video on it. But some simple steps are write it down, take a few breaths, go for a walk, go for a surf, go and do something so you're away from that, and then come back to it and rewrite it. Because if you're in shame, you think that you're a crappy person, and there's no point in saying sorry because you're a crap person. But if you then can rewrite it, and instead of writing I'm a crap person because I'm a crap person, write I did a crap thing. And that's the difference. So you can rewrite it and be like, I did a crap thing and that was this. And then you can write how you want to make up for that. So I think the two key parts there are being able to identify what was it that was the thing you messed up in that you're feeling guilt for. Because that's when it changes into guilt. So you go out of shame, there's no longer something wrong with you. You just messed up. So you can write down, I messed up. You're in guilt still because you know you messed up. Like vomited on the couch, screwed up my friend's couch, cost them a lot of money.
Paid.
How am I going to make up for it? Is the next step. How am I going to make up for it? Go into your apology. So that would be a bounce back process. If I'm in shame, I would get myself into guilt. Like, I would write and figure out that way to get into guilt and realize it was the problem and it's not me, it's that I did a crap thing. And then I would go into, well, what can I do to shift this situation? And I put my problem solver hat on. It's such a teacher thing for me to say. But I would put my problem solver hat on and be like, all right, how can I fix this scenario? Or if you can't fix it, phone a friend. Like, I would have my brother call me, or like have someone that you're sort of close with that can be your accountability buddy that is in a more logical headspace than you. Like, you do it with me sometimes too. Sometimes you're just not thinking clearly yourself. So you need to phone a friend and be like, I messed up in this way and I just can't think of, like, I'm feeling overwhelmed. I just can't think of how I'm going to get myself out of this situation. If you can't problem solve for yourself, then get a friend that can help you problem solve and work out a way to move forward. Because a lot of the time it's not as bad as you think it is. Like, the whole concept of, in 5 years, is this really going to matter? If you peed on my couch, it would matter.
Is it?
It would matter in 5 years' time. I wouldn't hold it against you. But the point is being able to look into the future and being like, is this really going to matter? It could be a funny story if I can apologize and get over it. Or it could be like a lesson that I learn. Being able to realize how bad is it. And if it is a really bad thing that's really going to affect a lot of people, then definitely, like, phone a friend and get support with it, because you're going to need support to get you through, or the workshops, the course to help you through, maybe.
Yeah, fully. Lots of interesting things there. What about the flip side of the coin? So what about, because listening to this, if you're involved in 101 tokens, you may be either the person who does all the dumb shit, but you might, if you're the person who does the dumb shit, chances are you've got a lot of dumb shit people around you doing, that's the wrong way to put it, but people doing, yeah, exactly.
Maybe you just got a lot of fun friends.
You got a lot of fun friends that sometimes blow fun valves and do silly things. So
Squiggles.
Yeah, they're squiggles. So what does a person do if they're accepting the forgiveness of the couch that has been peed on? How can they be to be supportive?
So if you're like a friend,
yeah,
or
so it's
a
my
partner
couch.
of
It's my
someone.
couch. You've come over. You've just peed everywhere all over my couch because you were drunk, and then you've left without apologising or fixing it.
Yeah.
What and then you've come to me the next day
Yeah.
with your apology, and you've gone through the process like we just talked about.
Yeah.
How can someone be a good friend and apply forgiveness and you know, be there for the other person as well?
So how to give a genuine apology, or
No.
are you the person
So
receiving?
so you've peed all over my couch. It's horrendous. Like, it smells.
So I have to give an apology.
So then you've given me the apology. You've come back over.
So
You've fixed everything. You've done everything within your power to try and fix it.
Yeah.
How can I be as the supportive friend?
You can be the supportive friend. Well, I feel like the first thing is, like, it's okay to feel what you feel. So if you feel angry at them, like, that's okay. Like, they messed up and they impacted you. I think anger is actually an important emotion that we have, but it's just like learning how not to hold on to that anger. Do you want me to keep going?
Yeah, I think it's just stupid. Yep.
So feel what you feel. I don't think you should suppress it either. Like, when we're speaking about if someone drink, regret, suppress, that sort of thing.
Drink, drunk, regret, suppress. Yep.
Yeah. And then if you're on the opposite end, if you've had something done to you, instead of suppressing that and being like, it's all right when it's not actually all right, you can you can hear their apology, like, I hear you, appreciate that you've come and you've actually owned up, but I'm feeling this. You've really impacted me in this way, and this is what I need to move past it. So I think it's important for you to say how you feel, and then say what you need for you to move past it, because they might have then come back and cleaned up the mess because they thought that's what you needed, but maybe you need something else. Like, maybe you need like some space from them. Maybe you need a week away to be like, I need you not to speak to me for a week because I need to be able to process this.
Yeah.
Or it might be, I need you to buy me a new couch.
Yeah, fully.
It might be, I need you to be more intentional. Like, I've actually been in situations where I've had people who are really close to me, and they've screwed up really badly, and what I needed from them was, I needed them to be more accountable in the future, because the cleaning up part, yes, that's at the time it solved the problem, but the problem wasn't the couch. It was that I didn't trust them, and I was afraid for their health, because I really care about them.
Yeah.
So what was the problem?
And the health of your couch.
Yeah. So yeah, but the point is, someone might be pissed off about their couch. So that's why, if you clean it up, that's might be all they need.
Yep.
But say if you're their partner, or if you're their son, I genuinely think a lot of the time people are worried about their well-being, because if you're getting to a state where you're so drunk that you've done something that you don't remember what you're doing, then there's other things that might come up as well. So sometimes people get angry because they're concerned about losing that person, because they're too drunk and they might do something that they might pass away from. Like, that's the reality of it sometimes. So I think if that's happening, someone might say, I need you to get some support with this, because you're not supporting yourself currently.
Yep.
They might say, I need you to buy me a new couch. I need you to, like, the apology is enough.
Yep.
I need you to give me some space.
Yep.
So two things there would be, if you're accepting an apology from someone, hear what they have to say. I think, like, blocking them out completely is a detriment to both of you.
Yep.
Hear what they have to say. Doesn't mean you have to forgive them. Hear what they have to say, take it in, and then let them know how you feel, why, and then what you need to be able to move on.
Yeah. I
Does
like
that
that.
help?
Yeah, that's really good. It helps me for next time I do something shit.
Which probably will happen. I accept that. But
Cool.
That's life. Like, I think everyone messes up, and in all different ways. Like, it's not like alcohol obviously is an important part because it's 101 tokens, but I think we've all got different biases, which we set intentions for. Like, I want to do less of this because I know it's impacting my life or my loved ones in this way. So, like, you know, when we spoke about gambling, or I don't know, spending too much on clothes, happens all the time. and then you don't have money to do other things, like you mess up, you make a mistake, being able to get out at, like, being guilt, make an apology, and then if you're the one receiving the apology, being able to go through that process of listen to what they have to say, know how you feel, let them know how you feel, and then say what you need. Like, we'll constantly do that.
Yep.
And I think lots of people will do that as well.
Yeah, it applies across the board. I think a good segue is actually what we're talking about here is being really present in conversations, and listening to each other and making sure that we are showing the respect for the relationship and the other person that it deserves. What a hot topic of advice that we've been talking about this week, me and yourself, because we've been sitting together eating a lot, lots of cafe time, to restaurants, because we've been on tour for the last 7 days, is having our mobile phones out in front of us. So the digital disconnect, which is occurring across the world as we speak. I was listening to a guy speak the other day about suffocation of digital, the digital suffocation of us, and he made an interesting point about if you walk into an office and there's, your younger generation of people working there and your older generation, the older generation will be sitting there with the key, it'll just be your standard setup, keyboard, monitor in front, or laptop, whatever, they're working on it. Younger people will have their mobile phone in between the keyboard, so they'll be, because they've learnt to go from mobile phone to thing, like they're just continually transferring energy. A lot of people will say that's really bad for you, but if we take the computers out of the situation, if you're sitting across from someone at the restaurant, there's a really good video by Simon Sinek on this. You're not even touching your phone, but you've got your phone there, and it's flashing, it's dinging, whatever. You're immediately telling the person sitting across from you that they're the second most important person in the vicinity, and that something could come up that's going to be more important. Now, having said that, we were having dinner with Robbo on the Gold Coast the other night, and his beautiful fiancée Marie was travelling back to Sweden, and he was waiting for a call. And without him even knowing that we'd had this conversation that morning, he excused himself and told us why he needed to take the phone and walk away. Totally fine. So what we'd been talking about as an agenda, or as a concept, is it's okay to have your phone out, but you have to state why you have your phone out. Don't just have it there because someone might WhatsApp you about, some bullshit that's going on that you probably don't need to check anyway. But really setting your boundaries around, like, what's quality time and how much that person means to you. Because if you look around a restaurant and you see two disconnected people on their phones doing whatever, it's terrible. And I think that's an epidemic which is going down. So what is a good strategy for that? Like, so we're in a relationship and you've noticed that your significant other, or maybe you're both doing it, but you want to change it. What's a good way to approach that conversation?
Well, I think you made a really valuable point of, if you've got your phone out, the first step is to acknowledge that, like Robin said, the reality is his wife is more important than us. Like, we know that. He was very present with us, but if his wife called, she's in transit, she's pregnant, his fiance, sorry, jumping the gun.
Hey, Marie.
Then that was a valid point. And the same thing, I remember being in a work setting, and the person at work would say, like, they had their phone out because their kids might call, and their kids were more important than their work. Like,
which they should be, and unfortunately that doesn't happen a lot, but yes.
Yeah, but that was the point of it. And so it's just like this respect thing of, like, and I think when you're having that conversation, if you say that to someone, this is why I have my phone out, and then the other person doesn't accept that as, like, a valid reason, then maybe you need to sort of readjust, like, why is it that you're spending time together? Because if you're in a work setting and they don't accept that, they're like, that's not a good enough reason, then you might need to make some shifts. Or if you're in a relationship or you're in a friendship and you say to someone, this is why my phone's out, and they're like, what? Then it's, maybe reevaluating that. But in the other instance, if you don't have a reason where you need to have it out, then put it away. And if you're starting to like get anxious, or you notice that you check, because it's the thing, when it's out, you check it more. That's the whole point of having notifications, because it's naturally going to hit that part of your brain that gets you addicted to wanting to look. Like, I've been driving and my phone dings. I know I'm not meant to look at it, but I always look at it because it's just...
And you shouldn't text when you're driving.
I don't text anymore when I'm driving.
Or just at the traffic lights.
Sometimes I'm working on it. That's my advice for this year.
Yeah.
But my point... See, no one's perfect. My point is be able to put it away, because then it... and turn on silent, because then you're not going to have the distractions. So when I'm teaching, or when I'm in a conversation that I really want to be present for, then I put it on airplane mode, or I put it on silent and I put it away, so then it's not going to distract me. And if it's out, then you need to have a reason for it. And then if you're feeling anxious not having your phone near you, and that's another reason why, okay, it's a vice. I'm pretty addicted to needing to check it, and maybe put that as an intention of something to work on.
Yeah, set an intention for... Yeah, because we've been sort of thinking about how do you apply the 101 tokens concept to it, and I think it's just the basic intention and reflection. One of my mentors, he used to have David Pearl, absolute frother actually. Give a shout out to David Pearl. Mainly because he runs a program called Street Wisdom, which takes people through whatever streets they're in, they're all around the world, and helps you answer really tough questions by drawing energy from the street. Actually works. I've actually trained as a street wizard, and so it's not funny. And so I lead those sometimes. So yeah, he has a full, back around to the point I was making. He has a full day off digital on Thursdays, and so his emails go, nah, not answering, it's Thursday, I'm out bike riding, or reading books or writing books or whatever he does. And that's awesome, but we're being realistic here. We know some people can't disconnect from their phone because they've got young kids, or they got important work stuff or whatever it is. But it's kind of a good exercise to think like, what do I actually need my phone for? One of my friends, Willie, who we're going to go visit in a couple of days, he won't take his phone out when he goes to a restaurant or a cafe, because he knows his wife Lauren has her phone, and his rationale is nothing's going on at work, like shit's gonna hit the fan. If something really bad happens, they'll contact Lauren. So he's content with the fact that he goes, I don't need to actually have it on me. And I think we could take a lot out of that, which is what's gonna happen if I don't have my phone on me, and just try it. There's something that I really get a kick out of these days, which is when my phone goes dead. And I'm like, oh, fuck you. I'm not gonna charge you. And especially over Christmas, I just left it be dead until I had to, call mum or something. Sometimes you just need to kill your phone. You need to kill it. Let it be dead.
I think that's an important point to make. If a reality for you is you need to be that contactable person, can you shift it? So like with work hours, I started to make it quite important that people knew they couldn't contact me between those times, so that I could switch it off. And then if you're in work hours and you're with someone, then you just need to let them know, I just letting you know I've got my phone on me because I have a few important work things. And then that person in the conversation will just know that's why your phone's there. And if you check it and you realize it's not work, put it down, because it's not what your intention was. Your intention was I had it out because of work. And if you realize, oh, my best friend just messaged me, but it doesn't look like an emergency message, don't open that, because then that'll still be there, that when you have time to go through and check your messages, which I would just leave, like when I was teaching, I would leave all my messages till the end of the day. And I would tell someone, call me if it's important, but if it's just general chit chat or updates, people tag you and stuff, I would have a time period that I would go through and I'd check everything and I would reply then. And then I wasn't doing the odd replies throughout the day and cutting into quality time with people. So yeah.
Bring back quality time. That's the vibe. I don't think people identify. I don't think if you ask someone, what do they truly want in life? Quality time is the most important thing we have. quality time, because you can have shitty times, but quality time is what you really want. You want happiness and abundance and froth and all those beautiful things. And so if you can maximize your quality time, you're going to have a longer life and a more fulfilled life for sure. And I think quality time is fucked by technology in a lot of cases. In some instances, you know, like jumping on a Skype and stuff, you can connect with people, so we've got to be grateful for those things. But sitting on the Instagrams, on the eternal swipe, what are you really achieving? And work out hacks for yourself, I reckon, because my one that I was using for a little while was I was always saying, I haven't got enough time to post on my Instagram for like about something that's actually important for work. Yet I'm spending 40 minutes a day scrolling through shit. And not really getting a lot of value out of it. Maybe little things here and there. So my little hack was like, whatever time I spend on the socials just scrolling, I have to then transfer that much time into researching or doing some work on my business. So that was a little hack, which I worked for a little while, but I didn't establish a strong enough link there. So if someone listening has a good hack for their digital consumption, feel free to share it. Hook us up. Sorry, was I just waffle coptering and not letting you launch your own waffle copter?
No,
You can shoot mine down. Go.
No, I think it's a good one. Mine is I'm more intentional with my day, so I'll like set out, this is how I want my day to like unfold. And then if I find myself, another thing was I deleted my social media apps, but then there's times if I'm using it for work, I'll re-add them, and then the time that I'm spending on before I go on it, I'm like, this is what I'm going on there for, because sometimes I do want to just like, it's a good way to see what all your friends are doing. So my intention might be, I'm going to go on and see how my friends are, and write back to and comment on a few things, and then I'll set myself some time. So then I'll go on there, like, know in my time I'm going to be on there for like 10 minutes. And then if I'm on there for longer, then I'm able to sort of look and see, I was on there for way longer. Why? Like, I got distracted by this. So I think going on there with an intention, or if you know you're going on there for a work reason, then go on there, have ready what you need to do, go on there and then get off. Like, it's self-discipline. It's like, I think any vice, the whole point of social media is it's a tool, but it's also a vice. Same thing with alcohol, same thing with anything that like lights up the pleasure centers in your brain. The reason we keep coming back to it is because it's like, it's addictive. It lights up those parts of our brain, so we keep going back. But you actually have this thing called self-control, hence why we're not like more than most of us like to be. We're very reactive to stuff, but we can actually override that the reaction and be more intentional with our time and have like a bit more self-control. So if you're feeling like social media is your vice, then when you either delete the apps and have some time having a detox from it. Mine was a week, and then it ended up being a month last year. And then if you re-add on the apps, then start to do intentional app time, intentional social media scrolls, and try it out.
Have a crack, and then see if the intention aligns with the outcome. So that's where the reflection. Sorry
to interrupt there, but my brother also has a, I'll have to ask him what the app is.
Rescue time?
It takes you off it, like shuts you out.
Oh, yeah.
If you've set to be on it for a certain amount of time, and if you know you've got crappy self-control and you just end up being on there for an hour, you use the app and then it shuts you out after a certain amount of time, and then you click in, you're like, ooh, I was just
zing.
I was in the rabbit hole, and now it helps you. It's like your accountability buddy. Because I think that's what everyone needs. You're either a physical accountability buddy, or especially with social media and using apps, you probably need another app an app accountability buddy.
That's about an hour worth of chatting. The reason why I wanted to record these chats is because I have these fucking amazing, insightful chats about 101 tokens and the broader conversation on vices and stuff all the time with the amazingly smart people in my life. And I thought, why not better words not coming out after 1 hour, what a better place to start than with my partner. So Jackie is, you're a primary school teacher by trade, but you're also right into your mindfulness and teaching people about how to increase their EQ, and very aligned with froth, even though you don't use the word froth, how to have give people a better shot at happiness, I think. So yeah, I'm looking forward to having way more chats online and offline with you. And thank you so much for hanging out on the beach, this beautiful beach that we're on. And yeah, sorry if there's been a fair few waves in the background because there's a few tubes out there. But thanks for coming on. Any other messages that you'd like to throw out to the 101 Tokens community or vice optimization stuff?
Just have a frothy time, enjoy life, and I don't know, if you do get some takeaways from this, then maybe share it with someone, because I feel like that's something that helps us grow a lot. We constantly share different things and tag each other in stuff we think is helpful. I'll send you a podcast, or I'll send you a quote, and I'll be like, yeah, this was awesome. So I think use takeaways for yourself, jot down a few notes to help you put something in your life if you're like, oh yeah, that was important, I like that. Or if you like something and you think a friend or like a family member would benefit, I think share it, because as your mate's little son said, sharing is caring.
Yeah, sharing is caring.
Sharing is caring.
Yeah,
So
well, he does. Yeah, he's Rudin did 101 tokens this year, so nailed 101. So yeah, that's a great point. It shows how good I am at like the whole socials thing. If you, this can be a really casual way for you to introduce the concept to a friend or a family member. So feel free to send it over. It's these really casual conversations, and as usual, not afraid to fucking say you peed on your mate's couch like Jackie's done.
I definitely will go on record that I've never peed on someone's couch.
Okay, so yeah, it's obviously about me. But yeah, just really general conversation. So yeah, feel free to share it and give us any feedback that you have. And yeah, live a vice optimized life, and see you on the flip side. You.